This program is brought to you by the partners of A Rood Awakening International. Help others find truth. Support A Rood Awakening International today.
What's really going to happen before Yeshua returns? And what do we need to prepare to go through before he arrives? Michael Rood lays out the sequence of events tonight because it's the end of the sixth day. The sun is set, and this is Shabbat Night Live. Well, Shabbat Shalom to our fans. It's Shabbat Night Live with Michael Rood. And tonight is again with Michael Rood. We are bringing out the best of the best. We can say that because this series is Michael's favorite series of all time. It's The Mystery of Iniquity, based on Michael Rood's best-selling book. And tonight is episode 3 of 9, and we're playing them all in September, which means starting next week, it's a double header every week through the end of September. And speaking of September, we are now on the second Shabbat of the 6th month on the astronomically and agriculturally corrected biblical Hebrew calendar. There you see it right there, which was proofread, by the way, by my co-host, Matt Weimer. Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Scott.
Certainly. Now, the calendar, let's talk about that just for a second.
Sure.
So the calendar, our calendar is a sighted moon calendar.
Yes.
And we put it together the best we can, and then we always say, well, it's within a day or so. Like if it's cloudy, they don't see the moon, then
right.
Well, of course, we'll move on and you'll go to the next day, and then the calendar is not accurate. But that's just, that's the only way we can do the calendar and still have it done the way they did in biblical times.
Right.
So now there's this sort of, a lot of people are asking, I mean, you're on the phones with a lot of people, they're asking about the Zadok calendar.
Yes.
And now we're gonna talk about the love gift here in a second, but what are people asking about the Zadok calendar when they call?
So some they're just asking for a little bit of information on it, or a lot of them are saying, this person that I know is following this. What does Michael have to say about this? So they're kind of looking for our answer as to whether or not we should be doing it, what it is,
Well, what's funny is that everybody said, well, what does Michael think about this? And sometimes Michael, he thinks about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's like Zadok calendar. I haven't even thought about the Zadok calendar. I'm not sure that's what he would say, but there is somebody who had a lot to say about it and compared it to the sighted moon calendar, and that is Eric Sandusky.
Yes.
Who's going to be doing who did the Trojan horse of Torah observance that we saw in August.
Right.
So he's doing the September love gift, which is what's wrong with the Zadok calendar. And he goes through and shows that, well, because it's a fixed date thing, first of all, that throws out the whole prophecy that Yeshua said about no one knows the day or the hour of his coming.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to this because it's going to answer a lot of our partners' questions about it, what it is, why it doesn't go along with what Yeshua said.
Right.
So this is great.
Yeah, and it's what does Michael think about it? Well, a follower said, we know Michael's calendar. Here's this other calendar.
Exactly.
I'll show you what the differences are. So that's so great. So we thank Eric very much for doing that. So that is the Zadok calendar. What's wrong with the Zadok calendar? That is the first part of the love gift this month. And that is an important fundraiser for the ministry. People might say, well, how come you guys just talk about, buying stuff during the first half of Shabbat Night Live? Well, that's because if we don't, this stuff doesn't happen. And so the love gift is a way to do that. Another way, we've just had this created by our Spanish team. They are having a lot of success with it. And they said, why don't we do this on the English side as well? And that was something on YouTube. Nice. And so now we have a YouTube membership. I'm looking at it on my phone because I needed to know the tiers. I haven't memorized the tiers yet. So we have Torah fan, Torah follower, and Torah warrior. These are 3 levels, right, that people can do.
Yeah.
And the first level, you get custom emojis, which is kind of interesting. So little emojis that have Michael on them. It's kind of fun. So you get that with the first tier and some loyalty badges, that kind of thing. And that is for, what is it now, $2.99 a month.
Yep.
So not much at all. So if you want to help out the ministry a little bit, you can be a member now on our YouTube channel. There is the information at the bottom of the screen. And that's Torah fan, where you get that stuff. Now, the next level is Torah follower. You get all that plus, early access to new videos.
Yeah, this will be good. So as soon as you'll be able to see a little Shabbat Night Live a little bit early.
Yep.
So this will be good.
Yep, exactly. So if you've got a something going on Friday night with some other folks and doing maybe a kiddush or something at somebody's house, well, you can do Shabbat Night Live ahead of time. So that is with the Torah Follower. And finally, the Torah Warrior, you get all of that plus some members-only videos, which you're working on right now. So that is the new YouTube thing that we are doing, the YouTube membership. And also something new that we're doing is for the Mystery of Iniquity. Since this is already a series that Michael has done, and it's based on his book, we thought, why not put a bundle together? Right? So people can get the book and the series right now, as a matter of fact. We don't have to wait till the end of the series because it's already done.
Right.
So now there it is on the bottom of your screen where you can get that. And that is available right now. And you can get a discount, of course, because we're bundling it together. And so you can get the series and the book together with Michael.
Yeah. What's great about the book is it also comes with the Zechariah's thermonuclear war.
Oh, right, yeah.
So you'll be able to see what Michael has to say about the woman versus the fire offering.
Oh, yes. The woman in a basket.
Yes.
What that was all about. Yeah,
right.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
That is one of the most interesting things I first discovered when, discovering Michael Rood, 15 years ago, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh gosh, and so if that can be a mistranslation in the Bible, what else?
Exactly.
And that's, of course, what Michael's all about. So again, there's the information on the bottom of the screen where you can get that. All right, so what's really going to happen before Yeshua returns? And what do we need to prepare to go through before he arrives? Michael Rood lays out the sequence of events tonight, but first, here's a Kiddush.
On Friday, the sixth day of the week, the markets in Jerusalem are filled with challah that is done differently than it is any other day of the week. On that day, the challah is covered with honey, and it is covered with raisins, because it is a shadow picture of when the Messiah reigns upon the earth in the Sabbath day or the Sabbath millennium, when life on earth will be sweet. Yeshua, the last night that he had with his disciples before his crucifixion, he took bread and he blessed the Most High, and he said, Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Blessed are you, Yehovah, our God, King of the universe, who brings forth bread from the earth. And he said, this represents my body, which will be broken for you. As often as you do this in remembrance of me. And so the sanctification of the Sabbath, the Kiddush that we do, sets apart this day and sets apart this very thing that we had rehearsed from the time that Yeshua gave this to his disciples. And then Yeshua blessed the Most High with this blessing that Melchizedek said to Abraham when he blessed the Most High. Baruch atah Yehovah Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei pri hagafen. Blessed are you, Yehovah, our God, the King of the universe, creator of the fruit of the vine. And Yeshua said, this represents the renewed covenant paid for in my blood. As often as you do this in remembrance of me. With that, we do exhibit the Lord's death and what he paid for our redemption until he comes. The fear of the Lord, the fear of Yehovah, is the beginning of knowledge, without which there are some things that cannot and never will be understood. As Yeshua said, and I paraphrase, you will only get as much truth as you will obey. If you don't obey the truth that you have, even that truth will be taken away from you. Obedience is absolutely required. If you don't obey the truth that you have, you won't receive any more truth. You will be forever learning, but not able to come to a knowledge of the truth. You will go down a path of ever learning and end up on the broad path of religion that leads all men to destruction. Yeshua said the gate that leads to life is extremely narrow, and very few people will find it. And the path grows more narrow and more narrow all along the way. Very few people will want to stay on that path. But that is the path that leads to life. It is a path. It is not a one-time action in the past. As Paul said, this is the word concerning faith that we preach. This is found in Romans chapter 10 and verse 9. If you want to know what salvation is, then you have to understand exactly what Paul is saying here, because Yeshua and Paul are on the same plane. Paul is repeating what Yeshua taught, and he is repeating it throughout his epistles. So many people forget that even though the majority of the scriptures were not around at that time, the Gospel of Matthew in Hebrew was readily available. That Paul traveled with Luke for years. Luke, the author of the Gospel of Luke, who said, even though others had set out to write these things in order, he had knowledge of these things right from the beginning, and he laid these things out. So do not think that Paul doesn't understand the words or the teachings of Yeshua. The whole idea that Luke was a Gentile physician is a fairy tale made up by Gentile Christians. No, Luke, or Lucius, as in the book of Acts, was part of the synagogue at Antioch, the same place where Simon of Cyrene was, where Barnabas was, where Timothy was, where all these saints moved out from Antioch and turned the world upside down, as the scriptures say, from Antioch. This is where Silas and Paul went out from there with Timothy, from this location. And Luke was part of that synagogue, part of all the saints going from Jerusalem to Antioch. They were like the two capitals of messianic Judaism. Messianic Judaism, excuse me. I said that wrong. Judaism is ancient Pharisaism. There is no such thing as a messianic version of what Yeshua said, do not do and do not follow. He said, do not follow the takanot and the ma'asim of the Pharisees. Their rules and regulations of which they've subtracted from the Torah and they've added to the Torah. They made up their own religious system. That's the world Yeshua came into. These were Jews, they were messianic, and they were in the synagogue. They were followers of the Messiah. Just as it says in the book of Acts, when Paul came up and James said, you see how many Jews there are, a multitude of Jews who believe. There was a multitudes of Jews who believed in Yeshua. And they are all zealous for the Torah. They were all keeping the Torah. They hadn't been done away with. Yeah, these people were not eating dog, pig, cat, rat, muskrat. They weren't committing adultery with other apostles and disciples' wives. They weren't having sex with sheep or any of the abominations that the Gentiles think they can get away with. They're not lying, they're not stealing, they're not coveting their neighbor's goods. You know, they are still zealous for the Torah, but Shaul, Paul, they were maliciously informed that he was teaching the Gentiles to forsake Moses. No, he was teaching the Gentiles and the Jews among the Gentiles that you don't follow the takanot and the ma'asim of the Pharisees, the rules and regulations they invented, their religion that goes against the Word of God. They've added to, they've subtracted from, and they have no authority. That's what he was teaching. Well, Let's get into this in more detail. Revelation 1:1. You want to understand the book of Revelation, which is the outline. It's from here to eternity. It gives us everything Yeshua said, everything the prophets have said, everything that Moses has said. It is all encapsulated. Finally, it's all boiled down to this very book that Yeshua wrote with John as a scribe. Yeshua, after 60 years at the right hand of God, his hair is shocking white. He's got a tan, it's like burnished brass. His hair is white like wool. His eyes are on fire. When he speaks, it echoes like roaring mighty oceans. And when John sees him, he falls down like a dead man. And as he is told by Yeshua, write the things which you've just seen. Yeshua, in all of his glory, walking among the lampstands, which are the 7 assemblies. Nobody pulls any wool over on his eyes. He knows everything that's going on. Write what you just saw. Then write the things which are now. These are my messages. I want you to communicate these to the 7 assemblies in Asia Minor. And then I want you to write the things which shall be hereafter. And John is taken to the throne room. He really goes to heaven. He really sees the throne room the way it is now, not some kind of mystical fairy tale, not some kind of ascended masters nonsense among the demonic infested New Age morons. And I use that term in its biblical sense, as Yeshua did. He said there were 5 wise virgins and there were 5 moron virgins, Greek, okay? So it's not hate speech. I'm just saying they're not wise. They're the opposite. Revelation 1:1. This is a revelation of Yeshua Messiah, which God the Father, Yehovah, gave to him, Yeshua, to show to his servants, the things which must swiftly come to pass. This is written to the servants of the Messiah. They're the only ones that can understand it, but you have to have a command of the scriptures from Genesis 1:1 all the way through. It all is one book, one revelation, one revealing of God's plan, of God's heart, what it's all about from when we are ejected from the Garden of Eden until we get to go into the garden in the paradise and the new heaven and new earth. It's all one story. It's not a series of numbered sound bites that you can interpret whatever way you want to. It's not to your own idios epileusis, your own letting loose and just stripping it from its context, and this is what it means to me. No, this is to the servants, and they're the ones that can understand it. And he said and signified it by his messenger, not angel, agolos, messenger, his servant Yohanan, his servant John, who is his doulos, his messenger and his doulos. John was a doulos, a sold-out bondslave, just as we all are. Yeshua has paid the price. He set us free, and now we willingly serve him. We do it because his grace has saved us. And when his grace saves us, we are saved by grace, then our natural response is because the Torah is then written on our heart, and so we want to do it. We want to do the Torah. You know, this is the Torah right here, people. These are the five books of Moses right here. That's all there is. It's not difficult. This is what John says. The writer of the Gospel of John says, the Torah is not difficult. It's not burdensome. What are burdensome? The rules and regulations of men that you grew up in their religious system under their thumb, and you've got to keep their rules and regulations, and you never measure up. They have to keep you down with sin consciousness. You feel guilty because you haven't measured up. No, if you violated the Torah, you're in sin. If you don't violate the Torah, then you're not in sin. Get over it, people. Get over your religious proclivities that say you're never good enough. No, you are ambassadors for the Messiah. He has given you a job to do. You're to operate as a priest and king in this life now. If you will do your job, you will be rewarded and you will get to live and reign with Messiah for 1,000 years. You are in training right now. And if you don't learn what you're supposed to learn now, don't worry, you're not going to be sitting around heaven on a cloud, strumming a harp, asking stupid questions for eternity to find out. No, you figure it out now. And if you don't figure it out now, you're not going to be rewarded with responsibility, governorship, dominion over 7 cities, over 5 cities, over 10 cities. No. All you've done in life will be torched on the sea of fire and glass. You'll be saved. Yet so is by fire. You made it. Well, when it comes to hearing your name called into the marriage supper of the Lamb, you can forget it. Only those who have made their garments white and are so honored by the Messiah as to hear their name called by name. Ladies and gentlemen, this story has got to get told. And this is how we're going to tell it. Now, I'm going to read right straight from the scroll, which is on my desk. This is the Revelation scroll. And the Revelation scroll, I'm going to take you through this whole thing, but I want to give you a glimpse because this is Yeshua, who is walking among the 7 flaming lamps, which are the 7 spirits of God before the throne, typified upon the earth as a menorah, but the menorah was just a type, a semblance. It's patterned after the 7 flaming spirits of God before the throne room of God at the shore of the sea of fire and glass, which is just past the altar of incense. We have the throne, we have the altar of incense, we have the 7 spirits of God. We then have the sea of fire and glass, and then out in front of the sea of fire and glass, which is represented upon the earth as a brazen laver, that is when we have the brazen altar of sacrifice. This is the picture, the scene in heaven. Yeshua is walking among the lampstands. He has 7 stars in his hand, which are the messengers to the 7 assemblies in Asia Minor. In other words, he walks among the lampstands. He sees everything that's going on. No one is pulling the wool over his eyes. He's going to tell these people, you've done a good job on some of these things, but on these other things, you better get it together. You better overcome this. I'm telling you, you take care of it, or I'll take care of it. If I have to take care of it, it's not going to be a pretty picture. And there's no reward if I have to take care of it. This is our job as priests and kings. That's where we are in the book of Revelation. We're at the beginning. We are priests and kings. Are we going to do our job or are we not going to do our job? He's got the messengers of these assemblies in his hand. He can crush them. They are in his hands. He can do with them what he wants. And if they don't deliver the message, he can snuff them out like that. And so these so-called preachers, these so-called televangelists, all this Christian television, this is a travesty. Christian television ought to do more than raise money. They say we're raising money to get the gospel of the kingdom all over the world, and you never hear them teach the gospel of the kingdom. You never hear them teach what Yeshua taught. Oh, they blow smoke up each other's skirts and, tell sweet Jesus stories. And we got a whole network of people supernaturally going to heaven and doing all this, and angels coming down and speaking to people. And it's like, right. How about vetting some of this stuff? How about vetting it according to the Word of God? Now, I'm going to read one passage right here. This is to the believers in Ephesus. Okay. He talks about the things that they're doing good, and they have this to their credit. They hate the doctrine of the Nicolaitans and the deeds of the Nicolaitans. And then he says, hear and obey, Shema, hear and obey, exactly what Moses says about Yeshua. You must hear and obey what the Spirit says to all the congregations. He that overcomes these things will be permitted to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the paradise of God. What a beautiful promise. He that overcomes these things, and he gives them a promise that's not fulfilled until the end of the scroll. After the final judgment, after those whose names aren't written in the book of life are cast into the lake of fire, after Satan and death and hell are cast into the lake of fire, and there's a new heaven and a new earth. And now, New Jerusalem comes down out of heaven, a city, and in the midst of it is the garden. And what is in the midst of the garden? The tree of life. Yeshua is promising them, if you overcome these things that I'm telling you about, then you will get to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of the garden, the paradise of God. See, now this is where we have to get into the detail that so many people are thinking, well, the thief on the cross, he did this last minute Hail Mary, so to speak, this last minute, Lord, remember me when you enter your kingdom. And Yeshua said, and I'm going to say it two different ways because there is no punctuation in Hebrew or Greek. Behold, I say unto thee today, thou shalt be with me in paradise. Or is it, behold, I say unto thee, comma, today thou shalt be with me in paradise. Well, we just have to take a look at the scripture. We just have to understand the basics. And so we know how and where to put the commas, because a lot of Bible translators and commentators don't even put it in the right place. Behold, I say unto thee today. While we are both hanging on a cross, it looks like the end. I am going to be, and I've already told my disciples, I'm going to be dead, buried, and in the grave for 3 days and 3 nights, and I will rise on the third day. I myself am not going to be in paradise on this very day. As a matter of fact, paradise was discontinued in the Garden of Eden and doesn't appear again until the end of the book of Revelation, which I will be elucidating, I will be articulating to John, who is going to write all these things 60 years from now, so that my people will not have to be stupid. So they will know that paradise, that the curses ended in paradise, and the tree of life will be in the garden at the end. And you will be with me in paradise. This is where it gets exciting, ladies and gentlemen, because this man on the cross, hanging there, he is not going to get up at the next resurrection when Yeshua returns and gathers together those who are in Messiah. And we're going to get into this. Those who are in Messiah, he's not going to get up then. He's not going to go to the sea of fire and glass and be rewarded for what he's done, and then get to come back with Yeshua. He's not going to go to the marriage supper of the Lamb. He is not going to live and reign with Messiah on the earth for 1,000 years. He said, you're going to be with me in paradise. After the 1,000 years, After the 1,000 years, then the last resurrection happens. After the heavens and the earth are dissolved, burned away with the fervent heat, as Peter says. The universe is dissolved. Everyone is going to stand before God. Mao Zedong, Hitler, your favorite politician in Washington, or Venezuela, wherever you live, Stalin. They are all going to get up, whether they like it or not. Whether Christopher Hitchens believes in God or not, it doesn't make any difference. He's going to stand before the throne of Yeshua. And everyone is going to be judged according to their works. Everyone.
Calendar debates are a common source of tension in messianic communities. But what happens when a calendar interpretation begins to contradict Scripture?
I just gave you 4 good arguments, or issues that arise with the Zadok calendar that go against Torah, that go against the Bible. You've got to be careful.
In this month's Love Gift teaching, What's Wrong with the Zadok Calendar? Eric Sandusky, founder of the Bereshit Restoration Project, examines the Zadok calendar, raising serious questions and offering insights to encourage reconsideration. What's Wrong with the Zadok calendar is not for sale, and it's not available anywhere online. Instead, we'd like to give you this teaching as a thank you gift for donating to A Rood Awakening International. When you donate $50 as a love gift in September, you'll get What's Wrong with the Zadok calendar on DVD, Blu-ray, or streaming on the michaelrood.tv app. Donate $100 and you'll get What's Wrong with the Zadok calendar and an exclusive design tambourine for the fall feasts, featuring verses from Psalms 100 and 150. Donate $300 and you'll get What's Wrong with the Zadok calendar, the exclusive tambourine, and a gold-plated wall hanging on stone, depicting the fall feast's harvest. These gifts are a limited-time offer from Michael Rood to thank you for your support. Make your donation today and receive the $50 gift, the $100 gift, or the $300 gift. Thank you. When you donate to receive the Love Gift, you are providing important funding to secure the future of A Rood Awakening International. Use your smartphone to scan the QR code on your screen to donate now and receive these limited-time gifts. Or call 888-766-3610 or get your gifts online with a donation at monthlylovegift.com. Hey Torah fans, if you like what you're watching, you can get all 9 episodes right now, Mystery of Iniquity, on DVD or Blu-ray. Plus, you're going to get the Mystery of Iniquity book right here, from which Michael created the DVD series, and Zechariah's Thermonuclear War as a bonus in the book. There's the information on the bottom of the screen. Get it now. Wait, scratch that. If you're watching this on Shabbat, the store is closed. Get it after Shabbat.
You have to get this firmly in mind. Those who are in Messiah, those who have died in Messiah, whether they have not taken the mark of the beast and they're beheaded, or they were killed in Uganda, preaching the gospel, 100 years ago from now. Whatever the situation, those who are in Messiah, their dead, corrupted body will be raised into a incorruptible body. The mortal, still living, will put on immortality. At the last trump, the trumpet will sound, and the dead in Christ shall rise, and those which are alive and remain shall be caught up, harpazo, raptura, together with them to meet the Lord in the air, and ever shall ever be with the Lord. Not forever in the air, because we're gathered together on the sea of fire and glass, where the works that we have done for him are the gold, silver, and precious stones that Paul speaks of, that are purified in the fire, the sea of fire and glass, and the wood, hay, and the stubble, the things that we've done for naught. Everything that we've gained in this life are burned up. It's trash. And then we wait to hear if our name is called into what can only be called the marriage supper of the Lamb, the most intimate, personal friends, the ones Yeshua wants to dine with at the marriage supper of the Lamb. Everyone else waits outside for 7 days on the sea of fire and glass. Thinking, I woulda, I shoulda, I coulda. After the 7-day marriage supper of the Lamb, Yeshua then returns to the earth with his armies from heaven. Everyone on the sea of fire and glass is empty. The angels come down, and that is when the angel says, get ready to eat the flesh of kings and captains and great men. Tell the birds to get ready to eat. In the next verse, the birds are eating. Yeshua then lives and reigns on earth for 1,000 years. The saints live and reign as priests and kings, what we've been training for 1,000 years. And then at the 1,000 years, Satan is released from his prison. He goes out to deceive the nations of the world. And then fire comes down from heaven and incinerates the universe. The heavens and the earth are gone. And everyone who's ever lived stands before the throne. And everyone is judged out of the books. There are 2 books. One is the scroll, 2 categories at least. The scroll of works, and everyone is judged according to their works. How many eons this takes for everyone to be judged, we don't know. But in the back of the line is a thief on the cross. He walks up and he sees all these people whose names were not written in the book of life, and they're cast in the lake of fire. He sees as an angel grab someone who says, Lord, Lord, didn't I prophesy in your name? Didn't I do wonderful works? Didn't I cast out demons in your name? And he sees Yeshua look at him and say, I don't know you. You, worker of anomia, A without, nomos, Torah. You who had your whole religion and you didn't obey me, you didn't obey the commandments of God, you did your own thing, I don't know you. Oh, you think you did wonderful works in my name, I don't know you. Depart. And an angel grabs him and throws him in a lake of fire. This thief has done nothing. He has done nothing. All he said is on the cross, Lord, remember me when you enter into your kingdom. He wasn't there for the millennial reign. He is now seeing those who said they belong to the Lord. He's seen them cast in the lake of fire. And then he walks up and the scroll of his works is read. You murdered this person. You have broken the commandments of God. You did this, you did that. And the man is staying there knowing it's all over. And then Yeshua said, bring me the other scroll. And they bring him the scroll of life. Yeshua rolls it out, turns around, says, look at this. Here's your name. Here's your name. He then gets to inherit the new heaven and the new earth. He is going to be with Yeshua in paradise. That is when paradise is restored. That's when that thief, that robber will get up and his name is written in the book of life. Why? Because he deserved it? No. This is the wonderful grace of Yeshua, greater than all our sin. How shall my tongue describe it? Where shall his praise begin? Washing away my burden, setting my spirit free. For the wonderful grace of Yeshua has rescued me. Now we go on down to the believers in Smyrna. Some of you will be cast in prison to try you, and you'll have tribulation 10 days, but be faithful until death. It's just a short time. 10 days is like, okay, it doesn't literally mean 10 days. It's like, okay, your tribulation, being in prison, it's just going to be for a short time. Compared with eternity, it's like 10 days. It's going to be long, feel long while you're doing it, but be faithful to death, and I will give you a crown of everlasting life. He that overcomes with these things will not be harmed of the second death. When is the second death? Clear to the end. The second death, those cast into the lake of fire, it's not going to come upon them. You can be thankful for that. Here it is to the believers in Thyatira. He that overcomes these things, I'm not going to go into what you have to overcome, but it's very specific what you're to overcome. It's not a general category of overcomers, but he that overcomes these things will be given authority over the nations. He shall rule over them with a rod of iron and dash them to pieces as defiled vessels of pottery. Just as I received the morning star from my Father, I will give this reward to those who keep my works until the end. This is Psalm 2. This is what all of Israel was expecting and hoping for. Not the suffering servant, not the lamb before his shears was dumb, not the one who would have his heel bruised, but would bruise the head of the serpent. No, they're looking for the Messiah who will rule the nations with a rod of iron. He says, you will rule with me. Just as I've received this promise from my Father, I'm giving this promise to you. There is no promise about going to heaven and sitting on a cloud. That, again, is Christianity nonsense. That's a word from hell. Completely to disregard everything that Yeshua says. I've had it. I have had it. I am going to war. I'm going to war over this travesty. And if you want to go to war with me, stay tuned. Be with me. Because we're not letting up. We haven't even begun to touch this. Then, to Sardis, they that overcomes these things shall be clothed in white raiment. I will not blot out their name from the book of life, but I will call out their names before my Father and his holy angels. These are the ones that John sees when they are called by name into the marriage supper of the Lamb. John falls down like a dead man at the feet of the angel. He cannot believe the incredible as he sees these people walk by with white garments, which are the righteous acts of the saints, the righteousnesses of the saints. They are clothed with garments that show their whole life story. When John sees this, he craters. He can't believe it. He falls down at the feet of the angel, and the angel says, get up. You were told to write this stuff down. Now write it down. This is a testimony of Yeshua. This is the spirit of this whole prophecy. This is so that the believers will know that it's worth anything and everything, whatever they have to go through, to be clothed in white raiment and to hear their names called into the Mishkan in heaven, into the heavenly tabernacle, to tabernacle with Yeshua at the marriage supper of the Lamb. It's worth everything. Ladies and gentlemen, this is reality. This pie in the sky heaven, going to heaven and seeing, your pet dog and your grandmother, and having a reunion with all your families. Oh, yeah, like that's going to be a real bargain. You can hardly stand one day a year getting together with all your relatives, and now you're going to spend eternity with them? Yeah, that's supposed to be heaven? all these ridiculous things. Oh yeah, we're going to go to the big poker table in the sky. We're going to go to that big football stadium in the sky. You know, all these things. It's like whatever is important to you in this life, you get to go to that big whatever, that big bordello in the sky. You know, it's time to wake up and quit following a false prophet like Muhammad and Joseph Smith and all these other so-called religious leaders when Yeshua is the one that we follow. But we don't know anything about what he says because we don't read his words. We just take these other idiots' word for it. So, here we go. I'll read another one. He that overcomes these things will be allowed to sit with me in my throne, even as I also overcame and have sat down with my Father in his throne. But Yeshua's throne is going to be on the earth. Isaiah tells us that the Messiah will sit in the tabernacle of David on his throne. How is this going to happen? Because you all thought that the tabernacle of David and the Ark of the Covenant, which is the representation of the throne of God upon the earth, which is the Messiah's millennial throne, you thought that just disappeared. Or you read a verse out of the book of Revelation, which happens after the last trumpet, in which the saints are gathered together on the sea of fire and glass, and the Ark of the Covenant is seen in the tabernacle in heaven, which is where Yeshua is going to sit for the marriage supper of the Lamb. And then he's going to bring that throne back with him and rule from that throne upon the earth. Ladies and gentlemen, the tabernacle of David and the Ark of the Covenant were both hidden by Jeremiah. We're going to get into that in some detail because Yeshua reveals this to Paul. But yet, because people are reading English and not even bothering to read the Greek, and what the Greek translation behind it, which is the Hebrew, which is Paul's native language, they're neglecting to read the words of the prophet. So, just as he sat down with the Father on his throne, we will be invited to rule with Yeshua as priests and kings upon the earth. We will see all these things come to pass from here to eternity. Now, to get into the mystery of iniquity, the behind-the-scenes working of Satan as the god of this age, to see what he is doing now as the accuser of the brethren before the throne of God, as we see in Revelation 12. And as we see in the second chapter of Job, that Satan goes around about the earth and then comes before the throne of God to accuse Job. This is what he does. He is the accuser, the maleficent accuser of the brethren, whereas Yeshua is the advocate, the righteous advocate before the throne. And we can take our petitions before him, our petitions for righteous judgment, just as the early believers did in the book of Acts. They took their case before the throne of heaven when Peter was in prison, about to be executed, and Peter was delivered, and Herod, in a short amount of times, was eaten by worms.
Hey, Torah fans, on behalf of everyone here at Rood Awakening, I just want to say thank you, because without you, nothing happens. There's no corporate safety net with a pile of money in case there's not enough. There's no government grant that keeps things going. And we don't ask companies outside this ministry to pay for commercials. In fact, some have offered and we have declined because we think this ministry should run on willing hearts, not commercial contracts. So, thank you for having a willing heart. You are the reason for every Rood Awakening.